Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Big Whoop. Let's get right into it.
Charlie bit me. Ah. Ah. Oh, ouch. Ouch. Ouch, Charlie. Ow. Charlie, that really hurt. No, Charlie bit me. And that really hurt, Charlie, and it's still hurting.
All right. Holy smokes. Welcome back. Oh my gosh. Let's settle in. Let's settle into our bodies. Let's think about the universe. It feels so good to be back. It's been like 4 weeks, I feel like, since I've actually sat down with you guys. Thank you so much for joining. As always, recorded at the fabulous Judson University. I missed you guys. I feel like I missed you. I hope you missed me too, because I missed every single one of you. Welcome back. Recorded at the fabulous Judson University. And yeah, gosh, I do. I feel like it's kind of been a few weeks of bouncing in and out. I appreciate your patience. I was sick. I went to 2 places out of town, and thank you. I hope you enjoyed kind of the last couple episodes that came out. The last episode with All Saints Worship was kind of fun, wasn't it? It was fun. It was cool. I had some people that watched it and, watched the entire thing, and they were like, wow, that was a great kind of meaningful episode. So I don't know, maybe I'll keep doing that route where it's kind of like a more significant or deeper conversation every once in a while, but they were great. That was part 1. And I'm going to do part 2. I don't know. I'll do part 2 in a couple of weeks. So thank you so much for joining. Welcome to Big Whoop. We got a great episode. There's a lot to catch up on. I'm still I have a little bit of phlegm, but yeah, it's been odd. It was like I was sick and missed a week and then went out of town, and then I had the episode with All Saints Worship. So and then I missed a week. I said that. So it's good to be back is what I'm trying to say. It's good to be with you. I appreciate you joining. I hope life has been good for you. I hope that, you've kept your head on and you've managed to stay above water. And we, again, like I said, we got a lot of stuff to catch up on. Jeez Louise, everything's happened. I feel like I didn't even, it was kind of like that intro that I did with All Saints Worship was kind of like a throwaway intro a little bit, where I was sitting here with a thing and I was celebrating that they won. I didn't give attention to that. So I kind of feel bad. I'm at this point where I'm like, well, I didn't do justice to the things that have happened, but if I address them now and do them better, will it just be old news? Will it be like, why are you talking about something from 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? But we'll move through a lot of the things. Got a great lineup here. If you are joining on Facebook, I don't know how you'd watch this on Facebook. Jeez Louise. If you are watching this on YouTube, Spotify, Rumble, I guess that's it. Hit subscribe. Please like, comment. I will read comments if you have something that you want to add in, a different segment, or if you just have advice, anything like that. I will totally read that and I will incorporate it. Again, this is kind of as much your show as it is mine. But please like, subscribe, comment, Thank you so much. I got these hats. I have sent out a couple of them. And if you are interested in these hats, email bigwhoopshow@gmail.com. Bigwhoopshow@gmail.com is absolutely the way to get in touch with me. Working on a couple of different things. I know I keep kind of hinting things that are coming in the future, and I want to stay present and provide, and be present and like be fully there and provide the best content in the moment. But working on this website. Website will be cool. Also, I'm going to start posting on TikTok. So, this is the year of 2026 is the year of getting better. I've heard it called the year of ascension. I don't know. I just want to get better. And there was a couple of things that happened recently where I was out in public, and there's really, I don't even know if I should say this, but there's really no way to say it without it being prideful or like, who does he think he is? But I just always have this itch to like be better, and I not be better than others, be better than myself, and I want to hit the notch above where I'm at. So I was out in public, and I was self-aware that I'm not fully at the place that I want to be. Physically, that's a great indicator. That's just kind of the easiest indicator, like workout wise and everything. But also, in it, like mentally, socially, like, am I cued into people's conversation and everything? And am I at my best? I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So that happened a couple of times in the last few days, and maybe it came off a few weeks of, not having a normal episode, or I don't really know what it was, maybe making bad decisions, but I'm just aware that I want to be at my top notch. You know what I mean? It's always a competition against yourself. So I know it's March already, but onwards and upwards. And I really mean that. And again, it doesn't have to be big things. It can be little things, but thanks so much for joining. And a lot has gone on. I mean, we'll kind of dive into it, but this is honestly the latest I think I've recorded an episode. It's kind of late in the evening, but I feel pretty good. We'll see how it goes. But I want to record this and get it out, and then also this weekly podcast will always be the weekly podcast, but I'm going to live stream twice during the week, and I think I'll make that enough of a different format where it's like not the same as this. Because then you watch one, you're like, this is just redundant, right? And I'll be recording, I believe this Friday. I believe in a few days. Let's see if my schedule is clear. Oh, I got to call my grandma at noon. Yeah, I got to call Grammy at noon. All right, well, I'll see if I can fit it into that, jam-packed day. But yeah, I want to do a couple of live streams each week. I know I keep teasing that, but again, it's been a weird last couple of weeks. What's been going on with me? I'll tell you what. I went out to Wyoming. I don't know if I'm going to put some sort of footage somewhere, but I also feel kind of tall. I feel like, I don't know. I checked the angles, but I feel kind of big, or like I feel big and I'm making things small. That's larger. I don't know if it's the angle, the depth perception or something, but that's like a 4-foot long piece of wood. I feel like on the camera, it looks like 2 feet wide. I mean, or long, whatever. But went out to Wyoming. That was pretty wild. That was cool. It's interesting to me how, you think of the U.S. as like one identity, right? And that's true. But it's crazy that there's completely different cultures across the United States. And, it's really easy to think that your culture is just not all there is, but like it takes up the most space in your mind. So went out to Wyoming. It's pretty wild. The culture is just, it's similar, but it's very much more cowboy-esque. And so I visited my buddy Zach Pouts, recorded. I tried to get 2 hours, but I really wasn't feeling well, and I feel bad. It was Zach and his buddy Chris. Both are fabulous, and they're married, and they have they're set up out there, and they lead these hunting trips and everything. So I was just so cloudy, and at one point I was laughing. We were laughing because I was like, Chris, now tell me how you got into this, and he tells me the story, and we're like an hour and a half into recording, and and he goes, I kind of came from Michigan, and was hunting. out there, over there from here, from Illinois. And he said, I was hunting out there and I just really loved it. I came out here and he's telling this great story. And I was so sick and stuffed up that it was getting late. And he goes, and so that's how I ended up in hunting. And I went like this. I went, well, you guys want to get some food? And it was such a backwards, like socially awkward thing. And I felt so bad, but we laughed. But I was like, Chris, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to just like totally brush off your life story. But I was just so cloudy and everything. And I was trying to hold it together. So this isn't a pity party, but we recorded, I think, for like 2 hours. We broke it apart. So I'm going to cut that up into a couple of different episodes. I also have the second part of the All Saints worship, which again, I hope you guys liked. They're good guys. And so I think what I'm going to do is I really like the structure. You know, I don't listen to a ton of other podcasts, but I listen to a few other podcasts very actively. So I always want it to be each episode to have like the front half or the front 25%, the first 25% or 50% be like a recap, be, hey, how are you? Checking in, maybe have like a guest co-host and then the back half or the last 75%, if it's a larger, better interview, be an interview. You know, I don't want it to always just be one or the other where you're like locked in for a full hour. I want to keep it fresh. So I know I've kind of been saying things similar to that, but like I said, onwards and upwards, and I always want to keep improving and see what works best. This is, I don't know, this is a year for it. It's a healthy thing to have. Be content where you are, but also kind of like be willing to grow. So we'll get into it. I don't know if any of that was any value. Thank you so much for joining. I believe this is episode 9 of Big Whoop. And yeah, we got some things to walk through. What's happened? I wanted to address this. You know what? I kind of did want to address this. And it's interesting that like, I'm pretty free from being codependent, but I also like when people are like, hey, I didn't like that you did this. Or what's another example? Where somebody's like, hey, let's talk in a couple of days. I just hate that. I don't like when it's a double-edged sword because I feel like I'm pretty confident and able to communicate in my opinions and beliefs and things like that. But at the same time, I am prone to being like, oh, shoot, I think I upset somebody. So this happened twice. First is my mom and my uncle were both like, yeah, I didn't like that you, Bradley, that I addressed the clavicular clip, you know, the live streamer, and I'll pull it up or I'll put it here or something where it was like, clavicular was frame mogged in the club. Is it better to be, you know, Jester maxed by Foyds or something? Anyway, I was making fun of that. But what they both said, they were like, my mom and my uncle, they were like, yeah, I didn't like that you, half joking, by the way, they're not upset. You know, they're not people that actually get upset. So I'll just put that out there. But they were like, I didn't like that you were attacking old people, because then at the end of that bit, I said, you know, if you don't understand what I'm saying, this show isn't for you. This show isn't for you. Check out, because I understand it. I must not have been communicating that with my face, but I had no idea what that sentence meant. I knew maybe a little bit, 25%, but that was the whole point of it, was like, I don't know. I have no clue either. So I was being sarcastic. So I just wanted to address that. Again, maybe I am codependent and you're like, Bradley, you don't have to address this, but I want to pull this up in response. Let's see. With that out of the way, I just have to pull this up. Check this out. ASU frat leader almost choked while eating a pizza. He was mogged by a pepperoni. Instant aura loss. Spectators not sure recovery is possible. So this gentleman is the ASU frat leader who frame mogged behind clavicular, and that was the big scandal. Again, that I did not understand at the time. And so I got to bring this to attention. This is big news. Eat much? ASU frat leader eat much? Look at him. That's an aura loss. Negative 10,000 points, aura loss. That's crazy. ASU frat leader almost choked while eating a pizza. So that's some revenge, but I wanted to address both things. I wanted to say, listen, I didn't understand it either. I was not actually saying don't be old and listen to this. I can't be that choosy right now. I have tens of listeners, and I appreciate each one of you. And at the same time, I wanted to close the book on this situation. I mean, this guy got demolished by pizza. And so I think that shows the hierarchy of this online niche, right? This online niche live stream kingdom. So that was pretty fun. That was cool to see. Yeah, the hockey win was a great deal. It was funny seeing Kash Patel there because it was great seeing him have a good time. You know, and some people are saying work hard, play hard. I like his approach. I like his approach. Play hard. It's just, instead of work hard, play hard, it's like, play hard. Play hard. Play hard. You know what I mean? And I don't know. If you know, there's a lot going on. There's enough that, you know, the internet people are making whole careers out of covering what's going on. And it was good to see him taking a break. It was good to see him taking a break out there. You know, he needs it. He needs it. I know he's going to his country singing girlfriends concerts and things like that. And it was good to see him taking a break. I thought, you know what? He deserved it. He deserved it. So happy for him. I know that was several weeks ago, but I want to circle back on that. Let's see what else we got. Man, I don't know if you saw this. This is so sad. This is crazy. This Punch the Monkey. So Punch the Monkey, from what I've understood, I've seen a bunch of clips on it. There's people who have followed it more religiously. But Punch the Monkey is one sad chap, and people are really upset about it. So he is this monkey. I believe it's, let's see. Oh no, that's the frat leader choking on pizza again. Let's see. Let's pull it up.
ASU frat leader Varys almost chokes while eating pizza after getting mogged by pepperoni.
Why is your right bicep bigger than the left one? That's all I was gonna say.
Okay. All right. Here it is. So Punch the Monkey's devastating journey goes viral. Let's take a look at this. Let's pull this up. Oh my gosh, you got to look at this. Wait. Hit record. Look at this guy. Punch the Monkey's devastating journey goes viral. So this is a little guy.
If you're on the verge of tears, well, you're not alone. A baby monkey who clings onto his stuffed toy as his best friend and parental figure has taken over the internet and probably some tissue companies by storm. This is Punch, pronounced Punchkun in Japanese. A baby macaque born in July 2025, but was rejected by his mother shortly after his birth. He was then rescued by Ichikawa City Zoo in Japan, but they noticed that he was struggling to integrate with other monkeys. There's even footage of him being pushed to the ground by other macaques due to his lower status in the macaque hierarchy. And just a warning, the footage is
just
really
like
sad and heartbreaking.
the pizza situation. Not that pizza. Jesus. Isn't this terrible?
As baby monkeys to cling onto their mothers, zoo caretakers gave him a stuffed orangutan to combat his anxiety and loneliness. And it seems like he's established a very strong bond with the plushie. Ichikawa City Zoo also posted on their X account asking visitors to please keep an eye on Punch's growth. And since then, his journey has gone viral. Long queues have formed just to visit Punch. IKEA has even sent more orangutan plushies for him to enjoy. But most importantly, Punch seems to finally have made friends. Even being spotted being groomed and spending time together with other macaques in his enclosure. As for the future of Punch's development, well, it seems promising. He is still quite young, and as he grows older, he's expected to assimilate further and move socially up the totem pole. For now, he's still got his plushie.
This is a good kid. This is a good guy. Yeah, so this was really sad, to be honest with you. Yeah, so this guy, let's stop that. This guy gets brought into this zoo, disowned by his mother. I think, am I immediately getting that wrong? Yeah, I think that's what happened. And then he's kind of still all the rage, but yeah, he gets thrown around, and all the other monkeys are not associated with him. They're throwing him, things like that. And this will just break your heart. This will just break your heart. It's really sad. But I'm glad to see he's doing better. I would say, here's my take on it. I would say get the aircraft carriers over there now. This is something that everybody can agree on. I say get them out of the Mediterranean. Or where are they? Are they in the Mediterranean? And get them over to this zoo. People were pretty upset at the other monkeys. And so Punch is doing better. Punch is doing better. For those of you just now being introduced to the story and now needing a conclusion to it, Punch is doing pretty good. We're happy to see him. And I saw this one thing today that was like, imagine we're getting this completely wrong, and the other monkeys don't know that that's a plushie. So all they see is this new monkey come out of nowhere that is just dragging around the corpse of another monkey. And so they're like attacking him. So they're afraid of him, and they're treating him like he's some sort of serial killer. And so that was funny. I was like, oh, if he doesn't know wait a second. Yeah. Cause if he doesn't know the difference of this plushie is not real, or maybe he does, but that's all he has. What if the other monkeys don't know that it's not real, and they think this is some absolute lunatic who's killed a monkey and is just dragging him around and is laying on top of him? Either way, get the aircraft carriers over there. Let's get this situation figured out. Boy, I really hope the Strait of Hormuz does not close, because I'm somebody who has to buy gasoline. I don't know about you. Let's see. Yeah, he's thriving, integrated better with the troop, made new friends, playing energetically, outgrown heavy reliance on the toy. Well, he's all of us. He's all of us, right? When you start a new thing, you have to adapt. All right, here's the next thing. I don't know if you guys caught wind of this. I don't know. This is pretty crazy. They are, which, first of all, remember when we cared about the Epstein list? I feel that, wasn't that like 5 days ago that everybody cared? They're selling Epstein's Island and wanting to create a resort. And you could say, here's what you're thinking. You're thinking, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. You are worrying about things too long. You're worrying about things for too long. Listen, that whole situation with Jeff, the financier, that's old news, and you need to move along. You should not care about that. In fact, you're kind of dwelling on it too long. Let's read this. Financier buys Jeffrey Epstein's private islands with plans to create a resort. You're a goldfish. They think you're a goldfish. You're one of the sheep in the herd. You're one of the people in the masses. You still care about Epstein? Come on. Grow up. What? I don't even remember who that is. All I see, this is wonderful. This is a new resort that I'll maybe one day be able to go to. You care too much. You should be forgetting things. I don't even remember that situation. Oh, look, a new resort. Onwards. Little St. James, an island previously owned by the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. Well, they must have had a word count. They must just had to keep it to one. Financier. That's has been sold. The 71.6 acre property seen here in an aerial view includes a main compound and 4 guest villas. The private islands that were a nexus in Jeffrey Epstein's depraved abuse and trafficking of young women and underage girls will be turned into a resort destination by a U.S. billionaire. You should have no problem with this. You should have no problem with this. Why do you think about these things? Why do you still dwell on these old things? I've outgrown it. We've moved on. They did what on the island? That doesn't sound right. It sounds like we would have gotten to the bottom of that. They did what? Who did? With what? No, I don't remember that. That's crazy. I feel like that would have been, I feel like that would have made national news. I feel like that would have been an investigation. We would have turned over every stone. No, I think you're making that up. That's crazy. You got to move on. That's what I'm saying. You got to forget about stuff like that. You're a goldfish. They think you're a goldfish. Great St. James and Little St. James have been in limbo since Epstein's death in 2019. Financier Stephen Deckoff paid $60 million for Great St. James and Little St. James through his investment firm. Deckoff is the founder of Black Diamond Capital Management. The purchase price reflects a steep discount. Why, did something happen? Why? What happened there? Why? What happened? The purchase price reflects a steep discount from the $110 million for which the two properties were recently listed. Little St. James spans around 71.6 acres and includes, quote, a helipad, private dock, gas station, high-capacity water filtration, 2 pools, a main compound, 4 guest villas, 3 private beaches, a gym, a tiki hut, and other buildings, according to its real estate listing. Let's take a look at its real estate listing. Let's see. Oh, they couldn't. Why? We are sorry we cannot find what you were looking for. Why is it discounted so much? The pair of islands initially went on the market in March of 22 with a $125 million asking price. The listing figure was later reduced after no buyers materialized. Huh. Wonder why. Interesting. So who's interested in it? The two islands, which lie just off St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands, figured prominently in the civil and criminal cases against Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh yeah, I don't know why I struggled with that. That's especially true of Little St. James, where numerous young women have said in court papers that they were taken via private jet before being ordered to perform sexual acts with Epstein and other men. On this island? No, this is news to me. I would have heard about this. Epstein bought Little St. James in 98, roughly 18 years before purchasing, its larger neighbor, which measures around 161 acres. Deckoff, who lives in the U.S. Virgin Islands, says he plans to build a world-class destination on the two islands. He pledged that the project will bring economic benefits to the region while also respecting its local culture and natural beauty. You know, you really, again, I won't harp on this too much, but you really shouldn't have an issue with this. You're dwelling too much on the past. Listen, Epstein's Island, it's going to be turned into a resort. It's being bought and sold. It's going to be a resort. Gaza, smart city. It's going to be a smart city. Deckoff said he is in the process of hiring architects and engineers to develop the resort, adding that it could open as early as 2025. The sale of the islands might herald a new chapter, but the transaction also has a link to Little St. James' recent dark history. Yeah. As a place where vulnerable minors and young women endure nightmarish ordeals after being enticed by Epstein and Maxwell. Listen, I vaguely remember the Epstein stuff. That's a resort. Well, now you have my attention. No, you have my attention. You can't be thinking about, trafficking and destruction and demolition and all that. No. You got to be focused on what pina colada they will have at the tiki hut. That's the power of a pina colada, I guess is what I'm trying to say. As somebody who doesn't really drink myself, that's the power of what a good appetizer has. You know, you're thinking on the trauma too much. Move on. Move on. Nobody arrested? Move on. Nobody investigating? Move on. Half the documents released and a lot of it redacted? Move on. I'm more interested in what the island's appetizer list will be. I'm really hoping they do some sort of like Asian fusion egg roll. I'm really hoping they do something like that with like a sweet and sour sauce. I'm really hoping they have a good cocktail list, which I could actually help with. And then a really great NA drink list, non-alcoholic drink list. And that's all the difference in the world. I hope the bedding is, I hope the pillows are a nice plush goose feather pillow. I hope the bed is something with some lower lumbar support. That's the power of a good appetizer. That's the power of a good drink. It just wipes your mind. I'm being sarcastic here again. So nobody get upset at me. Nobody go, oh my gosh, he's a monster. I probably agree with what you're thinking. Do not take this as truth. I think it's all terrible. And I think it's wild. I think it's actually, to be serious actually with you, I think it's crazy how, why do we just move on? And I guess I've seen it from people too, where like you can go through something really bad and it's astounding to me how somebody can, they're like, hey, how you doing? And you're like, well, you just had the worst year of your life, or like there's something really that you're struggling with. And then they're like, hey, how are you doing? And you're like, hey, I'm not doing well. And it's astounding to me, and I do it as well, people's ability to be like, oh, dang, really? What's going on? And sometimes you don't even get what's going on. They just move on and they're like, you know, okay, we'll see you later. But then it's like, hey, well, oh, really? What's going on? And then you explain it. And there's just like this considering, this entertaining it, like this bobbing of a balloon. They go, oh, shoot. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And then you move on. And it's like, I don't know. It's odd. You know, you can see that in conversations with people who, you know, you're really looking for some sort of comfort from them or some sort of effort to meet you in the middle of investigating why you are upset. You want them to investigate. You want somebody to be like, oh, really? What's going on? Oh, gosh. And why was it like that? You know, start digging up something, investigate a little bit, you know, care about me enough to ask 3 or 4 questions. And I don't know. I whether it's a conversation with somebody or Little St. James, which is like the biggest example of corruption and vile behavior. And for it to be like, oh, no, that's wild. Well, anyway, we have lunch. We got to get going. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry to hear that. Well, yeah, it sucks. It's been rough for you. Yeah, so we got to go actually. We actually do have a reservation, and you know, it's just odd. It's just odd. And I guess maybe that's something I'm thinking about lately. But it's weird to see that on a macro and a micro. It's like, are we really just goldfish? Do people actually not care enough to like dive into it, finish that issue, and then have that reality afterwards? Or is it really just like ignore, forget, why are you still dwelling on that? We're putting a resort there. We are, oh, really, you're struggling. Well, we got lunch to go to. It's like this minimizing. It's like this minimizing of things that are due attention, and you're just moving on to the next thing. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not saying that clearly, or I'm harping on it too much. But when that happens on such a macro, in-your-face level, it's really hard to not be insulted or disgusted by it. I think it kind of shows what people think of you. You know, when you kind of trauma dump on somebody or just even hint at trauma, trauma dumping can be overwhelming. But when you like hint at trauma or that you're upset or you're really going through things and people don't reciprocate attention or don't reciprocate care enough to start investigating why you're not doing well, that's really off-putting to me. It takes not a lot of effort to be like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And then you sit there in that moment because all somebody wants is for somebody to listen. And then if you listen and care enough to take action, that's a greater thing. But like, it's very odd. It's odd seeing it on a micro and a macro level. Micro in conversations and then macro in things like this. It's pretty in your face. But, that's why you bring it before God. And I think there's a reason why he's a Prince of Peace. I think that's a reason why he's a great counselor. And there's an immense peace that comes from God seeing everything and injustices not escaping his eye. Because however the machine cranks out this pave over and put up a resort, you go, am I going crazy? Is nobody else seeing this? Why are we moving on? Is nobody else? And everybody's like, why are you still thinking about that? If that really is happening, you can't control what's going on. It's a great benefit to know that God sees everything and that there is justice because he loves us and he loves justice. So, think about that. Think about what you, take from that what you will. Yeah, having said all that, I guess the remedy is like, whether it's a personal injustice in your life that is not getting the attention you think it deserves, or whether it's a world injustice that you are realizing it doesn't get the attention it deserves from people, from somebody you trauma dump on, or you let them know something isn't going wrong, or something isn't going right, it's all going wrong. Or whether it's like literally Little St. James, you're like, hey, what are we doing? It's a great piece to me to be like, wow, things are happening and they're not getting the due justice they deserve, or not even the justice, but they're not getting the attention they deserve or the effort they deserve, whether it's somebody's effort to inquire about your present heartache or suffering, or whether it's the people in power's position to not dig in and provide justice on some of these macro situations where you're like, are we just moving on? It's a great piece, and I won't try to preach, but like it's a great piece to know that God, nothing misses his eye. And it's amazing because I've had that done too, where it's like, oh, do we just move on and forget it? Am I crazy? Am I taking crazy pills that I'm still thinking about this and focusing on it? But it's not settled. And then you think, no, God sees it. And he will right wrongs. And that's such a peace because it gives a solution to your current confusion and utter bewilderment of like, we're just moving on. It's like, no, somebody sees it. In fact, the someone sees it, whether it's justice in this life or the next. So that's a great balm on my heart. Here's something else. And I hope that was kind of said well. I'm going to have to cut that up a little bit and chop it up and kind of stitch it together. But here, I'll put a picture up here. Here's something crazy. My truck was egged. I think it was by a homeless person, I think it was a homeless person because it was in the dead of night. It was between the hours of like 2 a.m. and no, it wouldn't have been 2 a.m. It was probably like 1 a.m. And at some time in the morning. So I don't know if I looked at somebody wrong. I don't know what I did, but my truck was totally egged. I thought it was throw up. I thought it was barf. And I took it over to, that's actually been a nickname of mine before, barf. That's from years and years ago. I think that's from high school. No, it's not from high school. No, it's from my friend Nathaniel from We the Least. Yeah, he called me barf. Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was throw up. I thought it was barf. I thought somebody had literally just like thrown up across my entire truck. And I took it over to the car wash place, and he's like, no, a car wash won't get rid of it. It's stuck on there. And he used steam to get rid of it. And what's so crazy is I was like, oh man, this is a stranger's barf. I don't want to get anywhere near this. And this guy who ran this or works at the car wash literally takes his finger and scratches off some of the egg, and he rubs it. I don't think he tasted it because that would have been wild, but I think he just rubbed it like in between his fingers, and he's like, oh, that's egg. And I'm like, that's disgusting. But it was kind of nice. I would rather have egg than throw up. So he steamed it off, but that's the first time. I was trying to think if I did anything wrong, if I didn't give money to a homeless man, or if I was like playing a wrong song as I went by somebody, or I didn't yell anything out the window, or if I was playing like a political video too loud as I was driving by somebody. I don't know, but it was crazy. I don't know if that's a hate crime, but I hate that it happened. And I think that's not how a hate crime works, but I hate that it happened. So I'm going to call it a hate crime, but it's all good. Here's something else that's wild. So I will, maybe I'll cover this next week, but I almost got into a fight in Wyoming. Almost got into this, like, I don't even want to say a bar fight. It was like a pizzeria fight, which is so much more embarrassing. I think I'll cover that next week because I'll actually have the interview with with Zach and his friend Chris. But like I was talking about before, it's like it's crazy that the United States is so many different cultures, and we kind of think it's it's all under one name, but Louisiana is dramatically different from New York, and New York is dramatically different from Texas. And Texas is dramatically different from California. And California and Chicago and all those other places are dramatically different from Wyoming. So it was really cool getting out there to see Zach and his wife, Sienna. And I was blown away because it's like, you kind of grow up in the Chicago area, and everywhere else that I've been or lived is, I don't want to say developed. I shouldn't even said developed, but it's got a pulse. It's like everybody is compact. It's either city or suburbs. And this was different because I couldn't even take a flight from O'Hare to the airport. I had to go O'Hare down to Dallas on a small flight, American flight, up to Rapid City in South Dakota. And Zach lives further west in Wyoming. He drove from Wyoming to South Dakota about an hour and 40 minutes or so, because that's the closest airport. I think there might be one closer, but it's really, really expensive. So I had never had that. It's like, well, how far do you have to drive to the airport? Well, like 30 minutes or an hour or something. And I know Illinois is like this too. Illinois is massive, and you have to drive far to pick somebody up from an airport. But we drove out there, and it's just like, he's on 6,000 acres where he works and lives. And I think legitimately for like the 2 or 3 days I was out there, I saw totally, like off in the distance or right in front of me or in a restaurant, I think I saw 25 people. Could have even been 20 people. And we saw the people that he works with, and we saw people in town, and it was such a classic Wyoming town. I guess I'm saying all this because it's like, it's the middle of plains, and it's classic Wyoming. Like if you think of Wyoming and hunting and mountains and stuff like that, it's exactly that. So I went into this pizzeria, and I say all that to say that it's a very different culture. And I cracked a joke, and it did not go well. I again was not feeling well, so like the clavicular thing, I might not have with my face expressed that it was sarcasm, but one joke made the waitress think I was serious and turned basically the entire place against me. Now that I'm thinking about it, So I'll get into that next week, but it was very odd. It was very odd because it's like I'm used to, I don't mean this in a political way, but like there's two ends to, oh, I just spit. That's nasty. There's two ends to humor, and there's like this great middle ground where you can like make jokes that you have to like read into to understand, right? There's this like gray area in jokes where you can be like, and that's where sarcasm lives, right? Because like if it's not making a joke or a knock joke, where it's like the clearest display of I'm clearly joking, there's this great middle ground where it's like, well, you're making kind of like dark humor, or you're making jokes that you have to really look at the person to see if they're joking, or it's like, you know, you gotta think about it a little bit. Out there, it was, I got this sense a little bit, at least in the interaction I had, where it was just no jokes and clear jokes. And it was like more clear cut. You're either joking or you're not. These are different people. Like these are people that are just a different cut. They're just a different brand of people. And so I made a joke in the middle where it was like a little ambiguous. Ambiguous is the word I'm trying to think of. It was a little ambiguous. Is he joking? Is he not? Is he serious? It was in this realm of ambiguity. And it didn't end up in a fight. I don't want to make it too climactic where you're like, that's anticlimactic. But I'll get into that next week. Yeah, that was a fun trip. I was sick the entire time, and but it was pretty good. Truck got egged. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Here was something I was thinking about the other day, and stick with me on this. If in marriage, if the women take the man's last name, who's out here making more last names? Huh? Who's out here making more last names? Because if there's a if there's a capitulation where like last names are being, okay, I'm giving up my last name to you, so my last name is being removed. There's a supply of last names, and those last names are being whittled down because they're getting lost. So, two thoughts: where are new last names coming from that expand that quantity back out? And also, at this point in time, why do we not have like 30 last names? If we're constantly just like, okay, I'll be your last name now, why is it not a conglomerate of like, there's 20 last names or whatever amount, and everybody is just one of these few names now? So who's out here making more last names? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I know there's like Smith, you know, that would trace back to an occupation, or Cooper. That's like somebody who made barrels back in the day. But nobody's out here being like, making their name like dry cleaner or chip maker. They're out there making like chips for computers. Nobody's making more names based on occupation. So where are these names coming from? Were there just so many that we're whittling it, that we're whittling it down, that there's still a lot? Is it going from a huge amount to a lot of names? But that was something that caught my attention. Who's making these last names? How are they being created? Somebody look that up and email bigwhoopshow@gmail.com. I need to know about this. Why haven't we run out? Why isn't everybody just one of 20 last names? Anyway, moving on. Let's wrap up here. The viral video segment. I wanted to touch on this. Oh, and then I wanted to give you a song of the week. We'll get into that. Did you see this? This is so funny. This is so incredibly funny. There's a Peloton instructor. Her name is Kendall Toole. She went viral after the Get 'em Banned clip. I wonder if there is a clip in here. Oh, here it is. Peloton crisis with the I ain't the one lady talking about somebody joining her class with an inappropriate username. So this is so funny. You got to just watch this. I won't even give any context. Well, I will a little bit. It's the I don't know, it's the energy for me. Or you'll see this and you'll be like, "Oh, I understand." Or I know somebody like this where it's like this propping up of I don't know, this energy to be like boss. I don't know if it's cringe or not, but it's like this boss lady, boss man who somebody just is like really I don't know. Yeah, it might be cringy. I don't know. Let's take a look here. Check this out.
Get them banned. Get them banned. We don't do that here. Oh, now I'm pissed. Find out who that is, get them banned. We don't do that. I ain't the one, baby. I take no disrespect.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying. Not because it's so funny. Because I have some phlegm and I choked. Dude, this energy is so
Get 'em
funny.
banned.
This is like classic.
Get them banned. We don't do that here. Oh, now I'm
With
pissed.
the beat, watch. And then she
Find
like
out who that
snaps
is, get
onto
them
the
banned.
beat too. Watch
We don't
this.
do that.
Here we go.
I ain't the one, baby. I take no disrespect.
With like the looking down with the on beat and the shoulders. It's so funny. It's so funny. I love stuff like that. Half of the stuff I see on social media is like cringe, or I don't know if you have an Instagram feed like mine, where if a serious video shows up, maybe this is just me, or maybe it's like, I don't know, people like me or something. But if a serious video shows up, or a somber video, or like a serene video, or something that you go, oh, this is serious, I know immediately. I look at the comments, I look at the number of comments, and I go, okay, I know why I'm seeing this. And the comments are just roasting the person. Just roasting the person. So anything serious that shows up on my feed is because it's getting mocked, because it's just getting absolutely, it's getting dragged, as the kids say. So that was something that was so funny. I was like, dang. And then I look at the comments and everybody, yeah, it's so funny. So that was something that popped up. I wanted to address that. Other than that, I think we might be rounding third here. Yeah, I think we're looking at like 45 minutes or so. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining. And yeah, I got a few weeks of interviews coming up. Again, I'll do like the first half here where we kind of just touch base and see what's going on. And maybe I'll have a guest or two. And then, actually getting into some of these interviews that I'm going to cut up and use more than just a one-time use out of them. And here's what I was trying to say before, and I'll try to say it more concise, but the world is full of injustice, right? Whether it's done to you personally, whether it's done to me personally, or whether it's done on a large, very noticeable scale. It seems to me to be the intention of people to want to move on and not address it, to make a resort on an island, to make a resort on Little St. James, right? Something has gone wrong. There's been some sort of grievance, some sort of injustice. Somebody wronged you, and you sit there as the crazy one and you go, why are we not talking about this? I just want to talk about it with somebody. Or why are we on a societal level or something? Why is this not getting the attention, the resolution it deserves? At a certain point, that can drive you immensely crazy, because now you're living in your own world of seeing something not get justice, not getting the attention it deserves. And I don't really want to turn into a preaching thing, but there's a great benefit to know that God is a God of justice. And I'm not trying to say like, he's fire and brimstone and things will, he'll get justice and it'll really, the people that wronged you will really get it. I don't think that's totally wrong. It's like, I'd love to see a little bit of that in some of these situations. But don't drive yourself crazy wrestling with things that you cannot control. God is a God of justice, and for your own mental health, bring it before him. Bring it before him for your own sake, for your own mental clarity. I think there's a reason why he's called the Prince of Peace. and you can give things to him and then sleep well and go, okay, it's really, really difficult to give up control, my desire for justice, and never lose that desire. But when it's a desire that puts you into your own hell of crazy, the remedy for that is knowing that God loves you and that he does keep a record of right and wrong. And whether it's in this life or the next, it's noticed. It's noticed. When it feels like nobody else notices, when it feels like nobody else is making an effort for justice to right the wrongs, bring it before God and rest in him. Give it to him. Give it to him. And I guess that's kind of what I was thinking this week. So that's a great benefit. That's a great benefit. It provides a great service. It brings you closer to God, but also, you don't have to feel the weight of everything that you notice. I guess that's what I was thinking. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. I got a few cool interviews coming up. Gonna dice them up, like I said before, and I'm gonna try to get this episode out. I'm recording it really late, but got some fun stuff coming out. BigWhoopShow.com should be active. BigWhoopShow.com. I believe that is the URL. Let's see. Okay, well, at least goes to Wix. Okay, I haven't connected it for some reason yet. I'm paying for it. And that'll have some fun stuff on there. Look for the live streams. I believe I'm going to live stream on Friday. So this will be like a podcast-based thing and a live stream-based production. So thank you so much for joining episode 9, I believe. Excuse me, a Big Whoop. And thank you. Hopefully this was a blessing for you. Hopefully it was fun, because it certainly was a blessing for me. I look forward to seeing you all very soon. God bless, and talk to you.